Welcome to the Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. As the nation's first community college, JJC has played a key role in shaping America's higher education system. Our rich and beautiful history reaches more than a century into the past, forever connecting generations of alumni. I am Jen Davis, Annual Giving and Alumni Relations Manager, and I will be your host. In each episode, we'll sit down with different alumni to uncover their most cherished memories, hear their inspiring tales, and get their hard-earned wisdom for future wolves. So, if you're ready, let's dive into the roots of our rich history and branch out into the stories that define us on this episode of the Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. Although it felt like it was never going to arrive, summer is finally here in Illinois. And while our campus is a little quieter this time of year, there are many people and departments on campus who use this downtime to start prepping for the season and the school year ahead. And one of those people just happens to be our guest today. Julie Barr is an alum who's also an employee and works as JJC's Land Lab Manager. Fun fact, Julie's actually known on campus as Farmer Julie, because most nice days you will see her riding the big green tractor on our campus fields. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us on this episode today.
Oh, Jen, it's such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course, you were one of the people I really wanted to make sure that I invited on, since I think that you've been one of our most loyal listeners as an alum yourself. You were always telling me that, you're chiming in and listening to our different guests. So I'm happy to have you today. And I really can't wait to talk more about what your role is as the Land Lab Manager here at JJC, because I think there's just so much interesting stuff to talk about, the research you guys are doing and all the ways that you interact with students in our agriculture program. But before we get there, I want to travel back in time because you've got a really great story on your journey to get to where you are as our Land Lab Manager. And I loved your story as getting here as a student. So let's go back in time a little bit. Now, you mentioned to me that you grew up in LaSalle, Peru, which is a pretty rural town in Illinois. So if you weren't raised on a farm and you didn't marry a farmer, where did your interest in agriculture and farming come from?
I guess growing up in the rural community, you're surrounded by it. And my best friend grew up on a cattle farm. And so I loved going to her house in the country. And one thing I couldn't wait for was turning 16 and getting my driver's license. One of my favorite things was just to tool those back roads. The openness felt so calm and appealing to me. I would see farmers in the fields. I figured you had to be born into it or marry the farmer to break into the industry. That's not the case at all. I found through my journey that if anyone is willing to learn and roll up their sleeves and dig in, then you can make a living in the ag industry.
So I could just jump in right now, you're telling me? If I just decided I wanted to come farm with you, I can just jump right in?
Sure, I would say absolutely. Roll up your sleeves and we'll get you going. Maybe take some ag classes, do an internship, and definitely we'll have you farming in no time.
All right. So, the interest was there. You had a good friend that lived on a farm and you got to visit her, especially once you turned 16 and could be out there. You lived that sort of farm life in a sense. And did you tell me that you also were a part of your FFA, right?
I was, yes. And I wasn't until senior year that I took FFA. And we just had so many great experiences with it in leadership, national convention. And then we actually were able to farrow a litter of piglets. And I think I really fell in love with it then. But again, I didn't know at the time that was truly something that I could do.
Yeah.
But, actually, when we had senior year, I was in ag class, intro to ag. And Bill Johnson came from JJC and gave a presentation about the swine management program, about the ag production. You could transfer, the transfer program. So I knew about JJC, but I wasn't sold because I was so unsure about breaking into the industry.
Yeah. And you did start at a community college. You did make that your next step, right? And where did you attend?
I attended IVCC. That was the local community college. And while I was there, I took all my gen eds. I was there 2.5 years. So double associates, art and science. I took horticulture classes. I just tried to figure out what I really wanted, but it all kept going kind of back to that agriculture, horticulture. So I actually applied to U of I for grass management. And before I began, I changed my major to crop science and agribusiness. And so
Cool.
I hit the ground running. It was all so new to me. It was so great. I loved it, but I wasn't sold on kind of the research aspect, which is really kind of ironic considering the work that I do now. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm glad I had those experiences at U of I, but I kept going back to, you know what, I really liked the swine. I love that farrowing piglets. And so I reached out to Bill Johnson up at JJC, and it kind of seemed like this really felt like a wonderful fit for me. There was scholarships available. There was internships. There was the professor seemed so gun ho to just help and help us succeed and make sure we had a job at the end. In fact, Mr. Johnson even allowed me to do a summer internship before I became a student at JJC on a pig farm to make sure that's what I wanted to do. So I was still enrolled at the U of I, but after that internship experience, I was absolutely sold. I left the university. I came to JJC.
Yeah, I think Bill Johnson kind of had that effect on people. I mean, you're hard pressed to really talk to anybody in ag in any area here at JJC who didn't know him, who wasn't like somehow positively influenced by him and the way that he was able to bring students into that program and really just help them excel, get them opportunities, like you said, the internship and different things that you got to do. Now, as much as I know what it means to farrow pigs, but you told me that you got this job and you said it was a farrow to finish pig farm. Can you like explain a little bit? What does that mean? Like, what do they do at that farm?
So, farrow to finish means literally we're going to breed and then we're going to farrow, give birth, and then we're going to raise that piglet out to market weight. So, you're seeing the whole full circle process. That's kind of the industry has changed over time. More so now, we're either farrow to wean or wean to finish. So you either do the start, you're doing the farrowing, and then you ship those pigs out to a finisher and they grow them for market.
So you got this internship while you were a student here at JJC or just after?
So my first internship was in the summer, and that was on a farrow to wean farm.
Okay.
My second internship was the farrow to finish. And what happened there, I wound up getting the full-time position. And I worked for Dave for about 10 years, just under 10 years. And I would say that internship experience and that full-time, let's say pretty near 10 years, was me growing up on a farm. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. And Dave, he's my mentor. He didn't grow up on a farm either. So I think that him breaking into the industry is amazing. And then he gave me the patience and the tools to learn and move forward with it.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a great relationship with him. And so, you kind of made your way through your academic journey and changing your mind and trying new things and figuring out where you were. And it just seemed like fate that you ended up getting in touch with Bill Johnson, getting back to JJC, having such a positive experience in that program. And then you got to work for him full time. Like, so what other types of responsibilities did you have on that farm? Like, what were some of the things that you did when you worked with Dave?
So every day was different. And I'll preface saying that I strive to be well rounded. I can't do just the same thing over and over. So the old saying goes, jack of all trades, master of none. So let's say it's springtime on the farm and we're going to do our daily chores, but I walk into the farrowing barn and there's a broken water line. I'm a plumber now. So if we fix that real quick, get the water, stop running. And then we're farrowing. So I'm a nurse midwife now. Then we go outside and we do other chores and we notice maybe a broken gate. So we're going to carpenter, we're going to fix that gate. Then, wait a minute, it's still springtime. The rain's coming. We need to go work ground, get the crop in the ground. So, but maybe something happens out in the field. So now, you're a mechanic and you have to fix that. And so it's just, every day is so different and it's unpredictable, but you learn to pivot and you learn, to just think on your toes and be the best you can be every day.
I mean, that is like any great job teaches you so much more than just your main responsibilities. And it sounds like you just learned so much, and maybe that's more where you started to discover your passions of what you really liked was just being in the work. So, being at JJC prepped you to get there, but you really needed that hands-on experience to know like, this is what I want to be doing. So you loved working for Dave. You loved working at that farm. What brought you back then to be the land lab manager here at JJC?
Sure. So things were really just, at a point of transition in my life. After graduation, I frequently came back to speak on alumni panels in the ag department. At one of my visits, I was made aware they were looking for a new manager. So I applied, and 4.5 years later, here I am.
And you're doing such a great job. I have to be honest that I mean, I see you on the tractor. I see the signs for our land lab. I know that it exists, but I truthfully maybe don't know as much as I should about the work that you guys are doing. So, first of all, talk about how unique it is. And when we say, what is our land lab? Maybe you can explain that first.
Absolutely. As the land lab manager, I plan, plant, maintain, and harvest the corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa, and fiber hemp in the 100-acre J.F. Richards Land Laboratory and Agronomy plots.
Woo!
I manage all the fields you see when you drive in the main entrance to the college. These plots are grown to provide an instructional setting for students to observe crop growth and development by performing various farming practices in real-time growing situations. The farm also provides unbiased and sound agronomic research information to crop producers and contributors, as well as to the local community. I'm just wrapping up planting right now. I have 16 studies, trials, and demonstrations planned for the 2025 season. Two of the studies I am collaborating with the U of I Extension and the Michigan State University, respectively.
Wow. I mean, see, that's the thing. I don't even know for sure that I knew how much research was actually taking place. Do you get to share that year-end report anywhere that anyone can look up and hear about the research?
Absolutely. So I send it to our students and then everybody who donated seed and that I've worked with, so the contributors to the Land Lab. And then hopefully we'll get PDF version and can share it on the website.
That's amazing. So, Julie, you share a lot of little snippets and pieces of that research and information on your social media pages, right? The JJC Agriculture and Horticulture page.
Yes, that's correct. So I also, in addition to being Farmer Julie, I guess, I also co-manage our ag and hort social media platforms. So yeah, I try to share field notes as often as I can.
Field notes, that's what it is. Yes, I think now that you say it, I've seen them. So wonderful. So people can find out if you follow the social media pages, all the work, the great work that you're doing on that land lab, all the research, you'll share field notes on the social media pages and people can kind of check in that way and see what we're up to. Is it unique to have land on our campus that you can actually farm? Do a lot of other schools have this ability?
It's super unique that we are just a short hayrack ride away from the classroom. We don't have to get in our cars and drive miles out to the field. So I actually will pick up the students right outside the building and I'll drive them 3 minutes out to the field. We can perform our labs and then get them right back to the classroom.
That is fantastic. I love that. I see you with the hayrack ride of students going in and out. And I just think that it's so fantastic that we have that hands-on, real experience just right outside our door and you get to manage all of that. So what other ways do you work with students? Now, you have always been coming back and doing different panels and working within the agriculture department. But now that you're the land lab manager, how do you interact with students during a typical school year?
When the weather is fit, usually from August until it's freezing, and again, when the weather breaks in spring, students frequent the land lab on a weekly basis for their labs. I collaborate with professors to ensure that the labs are set up and attend to discuss the particular trial, study, or demonstration that's being observed. If the lab involves learning to drive the combine harvester or the row crop planter, I sit in the buddy seat and teach the student how to operate the equipment. During these labs, I do take a lot of photos for my end of the year report and for social media. I will say this, I began working at JJC in the fall of 2020. So we all know that was COVID. There were barely any students on campus. And so now, since then, I cannot express how much I enjoy the students out in the fields for their labs, to observe their curiosities and witness their general excitement to be in an outdoor learning environment. It's so gratifying to see them get to use auto steer for the first time or pick corn for the first time and have that aha moment. It's so special. And, just yesterday I had a student out learning because he's going to be going out west for the wheat harvest. And so he wanted some cab time. Last week, I had a gal come out. She didn't grow up on a farm. She is going to do an internship on a farm. And as she's learning to drive the tractor, it's almost like I had a mirror and I saw myself. And that's so
Aw.
it's such a neat feeling. And just to see their excitement and, for the industry. And so we get to just chat and share our stories together. And I just wish them all the best. And I know that they're going to do great.
Yeah, this time of year, I mean, we're happy to be in summer, but it's, a whole group of our students have graduated and are moving on to their next steps. And the fact that you can be a resource to them and they can come to you and say, I need a little extra training in this, or can you show me this before I leave? I mean, that sort of relationship you're building with them is so special. So I know we're into summer right now, and a campus is a little bit quieter than it usually is, but a lot of people are doing a lot of prep work for the next season, and you're one of those people. So you said that you were just getting to the end of your planting season, right?
That's correct. I have 2 more studies that I need to put in next week that I'm just following protocol. It feels a little late, but I think it'll be great in the long game. So after we get it all planted, then I will be side dressing nitrogen, and then I'll be post spraying and then crop scouting and managing the fields all summer. I did plant wheat out at Whitendorf, so I'll have a small wheat harvest and baling. So, and then just getting ready for the students to come back in August and get those labs set up and just see everybody buzzing about is going to be great.
What are you excited for coming up in this next school year? Anything new or special you're trying, or just something you're excited to get back to?
I get so excited just to see the students back on campus, to meet the new freshmen, to work with the sophomores. We have field day on September 10th. And so we bring out 3 presenters and the students get to ride around in the crops, and we'll have, I believe we're going to do a soil looking at density layers, hands-on activity, and then we're going to look at tar spot and a fungicide trial and have another general speaker about how the growing season went. So
Oh,
that's
fun.
always a fun night. There's a dinner. You just kind of get to show off the land lab. We go all around and get to see all the plots.
That's fantastic.
And then it'll be harvest time. And we're going to be,
And that's the big time, right?
yes, and that's so much fun. And then I'll be recruiting at the National FFA convention. And then we'll get back and there'll be tillage to do. And hopefully before the ground freezes. And then we'll be writing a report.
Talk to me about recruiting. I mean, I know that's a constant effort here at the college all the time, and trying to find the students that can best, utilize and find what they love here in our programs. And our agriculture and horticulture program it's so wonderful. We have so many active alumni who are constantly coming back and doing things, and it has such a wonderful reputation. So, what are some of the ways that your department recruits?
Different ways we recruit is attending different career fairs. We go to a lot of the National FFA convention, and that's in Indianapolis. We'll go to state FFA convention in Springfield. We host FFA events on campus. We're constantly bringing students in. We have an immersion day where we bring in students and they get to rotate around to different hands-on activities. We host the Women Changing the Face of Agriculture, which I actually was the keynote speaker for back in 2019, which was amazing. And then I've done different roundtable discussions. And as of late, I've been kind of taking pictures and just helping with the logistics of it.
Julie, every time we talk about what you do with students in the land lab, every time we talk, you are excited. I can tell how much passion you have for your position. And that just seems to be like the way it works down there in ag. Everybody just loves what they do, loves being with the students, and you all work together so well. I know that nothing with your planting and harvest season is done totally alone. I know nothing in these recruiting events and all the competitions you go to. You guys are really a team and just a wonderful resource for all of our students, which is why I really wanted to get the chance to have you on the podcast and be able to talk about all of those great things. You're so busy on the tractor and doing stuff. I just wanted to give you a chance to be able to share that. And it's been really nice hearing your story.
Jen, I have to commend my coworkers in the department. I've never met such a dedicated group of individuals to the program, to the students. I have seen firsthand what they do to help the ag students be successful. it's infectious. Working in that department, it's just awesome, to say the least.
Oh, Julie, I really love hearing that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The way that your department just works together, champions for each other, supports each other in all of their research and their work and their initiatives. It's just so wonderful. And I can't help but still think about Bill Johnson and how much I'm sure he wishes that he, was still here to just see everything that he has helped contribute to.
Bill Johnson was such a champion for agriculture, for JJC. And I really think that the group we have down in agriculture is just carrying on that legacy. And we feel him there, I think, still. So, yeah, it's just spectacular.
And Julie, you're a part of that legacy too. So I hope that you see all the wonderful things that you're contributing to as well. So, okay, this is the point where I always give our alums the opportunity to give some advice to future wolves. And, I know that you are proud of the journey that you took to get here today and how it took some ups and downs and twists and turns. So you can give advice just in that area. You can talk specifically about not being raised on a farm, but turning out to be a farm girl in the end anyway, whatever you want to share.
Thank you, Jen. There are so many trial and errors in life. It's hard. As long as you're doing the absolute best that you can each and every day, you are successful. Every day is a choice. You can choose to get up and make your life amazing. Do not settle for mediocrity. Never settle. Reach down into the crevices of your soul and find what success means to you and go for it. It'll not fall right into your lap, so you must initiate. Just do not strive to be average or mediocre. Set goals for each day, even simple ones. Do not look for approval from others, only yourself. Do not look over the fence row at what your neighbor's doing. Focus on running your own race. Buckle down, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and chase your own definition of success and happiness. You deserve the world. Do not settle for less. You may think, what if I fall? Well, what if you don't? What if you fly? Never lose hope.
I love that. Julie, I love that advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story, offering your wisdom, and just talking about all the wonderful things that our agriculture and horticulture department are doing here at JJC.
Jen, thank you so much. This Roots and Branches podcast is amazing outreach and just wonderful. It is absolutely remarkable. So thank you for this opportunity.
Julie, thank you so much for being here today. And to all of our listeners, we hope you'll join us on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. For more episodes, information, foundation events, and ways to give or get involved, visit jjc.edu/alumni.